Now that we have our networks and machines set up, let's set up a route to make the 192 network accessible from the 10 network. There are 3 ways to do this, so let's have a look at them. The first, which we'll be going through in a moment, is to use Network Manager to save the route in our connection. Then there's manual options for whichever distro you're using. And finally, you can set a route temporarily, which is useful for testing. The setup in Network Manager will look like this: nmcli conmod, your connection name, and then the new directive ipv4.routes, and then in double quotes, 192.168.0.0/24 for that network, space, the IP address of our router or gateway. It's important that you put it in double quotes because you're passing along 2 arguments instead of just 1 like we're accustomed to. The second way, to set it manually if you're not using Network Manager, is to add the route to the configuration file. On CentOS, Fedora, and Red Hat, you'd create a file called routes-connection name, like routes-enp0s3, that corresponds with the ifcfg file that you're using. And you'd put in the same information in a little bit different way, in this case the network, via the gateway. Or, manually on Ubuntu, add it to the interfaces file under your interface stanza. In this case, it would read up route add -net and the network, GW for gateway, and then the gateway address, which is our router. Or you can set a route temporarily, which will last until the interface goes down or the system reboots, using the IP command. For example, IP route add, and then our network via our router, or our gateway, along with a specification of which device it's attached to. Here on the 10 client, I'll add the route with nmcli con mod my Ethernet ipv4.routes and then 192.168.0.0/24 10.0.2.6, our network, space, the router, the gateway. And then I'll reload the connection. Now if I use the IP command to check out the routes with IP route show, I can see that I have another route in here, 192.168.0.0.24 via 10.0.2.6. Great. If you have a more complex network or more than one device, you'll need to add an entry like this for each route in each direction. I'll switch over to the 192 client and make a similar rule so it can talk back to the 10 network. Again, I'll write nmcli con mod my Ethernet ipv4.routes, and inside quotes, this time I'll write 10.0.2.0/24 192.168.0.6.0.6, setting the network and setting the gateway. And cycling the connections again, nmcli con down my Ethernet, nmcli con up my Ethernet. And we'll take a look at the routing table with IP route show. And there we are. Okay, we're almost there. We have a route pointing in each direction, and the last step to getting these networks to communicate is to enable IP forwarding in the kernel on the router. To do that, I'll edit the file sysctl.conf in the etc directory. I'll write sudo vi etc sysctl.conf. And I'll go into insertion mode and add the line net.ipv4.ip_forward equals 1. I'll save and quit. And now to get this to take effect without having to restart the machine right now, I'll write sudo sysctl-p. Let's switch over to the 10 client and ping 192.168.0.7. Cross your fingers. Hey, it works. Great.